But aside from the Pacifics game that will be taking place a little bit later today, right now we have a classic baseball game between the San Francisco Pacifics and the Bay Area Vintage Baseball Association, which apparently they're going to be playing by a different set of rules than we're used to. A little bit of 1886 going on around here. And honestly, I have not a clue what 1886 rules are. I hear there are 7 balls. The pitcher's the hurler, and the gloves are about as big as the player's hands.
Something about outs being called hands, too, I believe. Something.
Outs or hands? Well,
there's still 3 of them, though. We're still good there.
Okay, we're all still working that way. So everything will be clear-ish that we'll be working with. But you can actually see the players going out with the classic pants, uniforms, shirts. It looks like all cotton too. That can't be too fun out there right now.
It's going to be really, really warm, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This is actually really cool. It's very well put together. It's
one of my fellow interns here, Lauren Clouston, put this all together. It was her big project through the year, and she couldn't be prouder right now. It's shaping up to be an exciting day, and as San Francisco looks like they're about ready to take the field and get us all started here. Now, a lot of the protective material is still on the field for this game. It's a different distance between the mound and the plate.
It's actually a little bit closer.
It is.
I know the ball's a little bit heavier, too, and the bats are much heavier. And they're using some of those old-fashioned dead balls. They're actually not using any of the modern baseballs. It's very well done. It's very vintage. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot believe that they're playing with these gloves. They're gloves that are barely bigger than the size of your hand. And it must hurt.
Yeah, the catcher actually gets a decent-sized glove. I was seeing that. He gets a little bit smaller than a second baseman would have right now. But these guys, yeah. It looks kind of like a driving glove on their left hand for those people who do wear driving gloves.
Probably gets you really, really good at fielding really, really quickly.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Although, like you said, Tabor, it's got to be painful. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near one of those.
Absolutely not.
It's personal preference, though. I like a thick, padded glove on my hand. We're babied, though.
We are babied. Absolutely are.
Well, we are just about ready. Warm-ups are starting. Pitching for Santa Fe today is going to be Ranger. That's the name we have for him, and you can see the style is a little bit different from a contemporary pitching. There's less of a windup, but it's more of a just get it over the plate, almost an ephus style kind of thing going on.
I think it's kind of, oh my goodness, what on earth? This is going to be a lot of fun. I love the umpire setup too. Do you see that? I cannot imagine being an umpire in a full suit and a bowler hat.
I couldn't imagine wearing a bowler hat right now. And I started here in a suit-ish today, and it got way too warm after about 10 minutes. So he's also wearing all black, so I do not envy him in his dress right now.
So from what I understand, he doesn't get behind home plate. He stands off to the side, and he kind of just gets to choose whether it was a ball or a strike from his angle.
Right, and I think the batters get to choose their own strike zone? I heard something about that.
We're just going to have to go with this one as it comes. Huh?
Yeah, play it by ear a little bit, or... Yeah, we're not really going to know too well balls and strikes. And also the catcher, interesting note, no shin guards. And actually not an interesting tidbit about 1880. Baseball back then, catchers weren't really allowed to wear protective material. The first catcher to wear a protective mask was actually laughed off the field.
I believe it was actually embarrassing to wear some sort of protection. Before this, they weren't even using gloves. They had to barehand the ball. They'd stand a little bit farther back and field it on a bounce.
Which,
yeah. As a former catcher, I can go without that.
Yeah. Well, Juice stepping up to the plate, takes the first pitch. I think that was a ball.
I think he said strike, 1-1.
Oh, there's another strike.
The pace of this game. The pitcher is just getting the ball and
rifling it back. Yeah. It's like one of those games of accelerated warm-up catch where you're supposed to work on your footwork, and contemporary ball is just rifle it in. Well, swing and a miss, strike 3. Juice goes down swinging.
We're going to call that a change-up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks like a change-up.
So now,
One hand.
So now Cadaver at the plate. Takes the first pitch. I believe that was a strike.
Do you think they choose their own nicknames, Vinny?
I'm not sure. Actually, I was talking to someone who is with the league. His son is on San Francisco, and he was saying that the team chooses their names for them. Cadaver wouldn't be my ideal nickname. That's just a personal preference.
I don't think I would choose that one either. I'm kind of curious how he got the nickname now that they chose it for him.
Well, he does play center field for them, so you got to wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Couldn't tell you.
Ball Cadaver pacing a 2-1 count. That one's over for a strike. Okay, I think he figured out how to exactly tell when the umpire calls a strike. He gets very excited and kind of leans forward a little bit. So that's a little positive note for us. As this one's grounded foul down the third baseline.
That is not a strike. It is merely a non-fair ball.
That is according to our announcer, that is a non-fair ball. And foul balls were not strikes back in 1886.
Well, go 1886. Very different style of baseball. As this one is lifted, it's going to be Buttercup at second base. Oh, no, it's actually going to be Grinder. I'm very confused what happened there. It looked like it went off of Buttercup and then right into Grinder's hand.
Good job, Buttercup.
Once again, I think a bigger glove would be preferable.
Now we have Becker Toro Drain, the shortstop.
Now, you were talking about it earlier. The pace of this game is just insane.
I can barely keep up with what's happening. I'm kind of surprised. This is really cool. Baseball should be more like this.
Yeah.
We have an hour-and-a-half game.
You would have thought a guy with a nickname Buttercup would have caught the ball on his own, but evidently not.
Wow, Mark Carlson getting very dirty on the PA there, as that pitch actually came from a sidearm angle. Looked like Ranger was given a little bit of a tricky play there. No idea what the count is. We see people on the hand-operated scoreboard frantically trying to keep up as this one's lifted just past the reach of Grinder is short, so we have our first hit of the game. And also take notice of the bags. They're not typical bases as we see nowadays. They're just kind of fluffy pillows.
They kind of look like oversized rosin bags, the bags that the pitchers use behind the mound.
So now Chops lines this one up the middle and through for a base hit. Two straight. Oh, well, I guess that will be two straight hits as Grinder could have been over to second to cover that, but they weren't able to get the out as he wasn't there. So now two hands. Or is it one hand?
I believe there's two hands.
So two hands and two runners aboard. Hopefully that term is right.
We're going to improvise, Vinny. We're going to see what happens.
And here is Chops, whose first pitch swinging, grounds this one to the third base side, spikes up with it onto first in time to get the out. I thought the Jumbo dropped that one, but it looks like he caught it. So that retires the side. No runs scored, and a very quick first inning.
Very quick first inning with two hits, too. My goodness, the pace of this game is just fantastic.
I would just love to see what would happen in a modern game. Should the pace be like this?
If the catcher just threw it back to the pitcher and the pitcher just threw it back at him?
Yeah, pretty much. Just an accelerated game of catch all the way with a hitter up there trying to hit the ball 400 feet.
I think the game would be rather high scoring.
Yeah, it'd be something.
There would be a severe lack of quality pitches if I had to make a guess.
It would almost be more like cricket, and I think this is more like cricket, except that he's not bouncing it at the plate. The hurler, as they call him, is just getting it there on the fly as quickly as he can. So an interesting thing about the Bay Area team, they're made up of three different teams, one from Oakland, one from the Novato area, and another one from San Francisco, as I understand it. This is just kind of a hybrid team to take on San Francisco today.
So they have a whole league? Is that correct?
As I understand it, yeah, they have 4 teams, and they all they play each other. Obviously, this is the kind of style they play. It's a different kind of style, and it's an exciting kind of style to people who are here. And there's actually a decent crowd on hand at Albert Park to see this. I would estimate upwards around 350 people lining the grandstands right now, and there should be more than that for the Pacific's game as that's Spikes actually misses at a first pitch swing. Well, Chops has taken a little bit more time on the mound. Not quite as an accelerative of a pace. I believe that one was a strike.
Were they still called strikes then?
I think so. I think it was still balls and strikes. As you see, Brett Kramer and I believe that's Andrew, one of the stadium operations workers, frantically trying to keep up with the action on the scoreboard. It was a little harder in the top of the first inning, but there is one hand now.
One hand.
As this one's grounded to third base, it's going to be Boxcar up with it onto first in plenty of time. So now two hands quickly away in the bottom of the first inning. And now Jumbo at the plate. He's rather large. I can see that's an easier nickname.
That's an easier nickname to understand, yes.
And then Cadaver. You know, these nicknames all up and down the lineup are just kind of insane. I mean, they have Cadaver, Toro, Chops. I'm really wondering about Chops.
I'm a big fan of Juice, personally.
Frenchie, as this one's grounded over to third, Boxcar up with it. Almost the same play, but he throws this one away at first. Not even close. Jumbo makes the turn. He's going to head into second with a... Well, he's at second with the error. I believe they were still called errors in 1880. That's a very classic term. So now San Francisco has a runner in scoring position, as it would be.
2 hands.
You know, we have yet to see a ball hit the outfield grass minus that bloop. As this one goes into the outfield, Bull is going to give a chase. It's not going to get there. It's going to drop. Jumbo's motoring around third with all of his might, and he will score. Jumbo looks like he's about 6'5" out there.
He is absolutely massive. That is, I understand why he's hitting third. Probably could put quite a lot of distance on the ball.
Well, that bat that they're using is ridiculously heavy.
I actually picked one of those up before the game and put it back down when I realized there's no way I could swing that successfully.
Yeah, nowadays they have a drop 3 wood bats. You know, it's usually drop 2, drop 3, somewhere in there. As this throw actually gets away, Warden's going to hang on.
The bats were longer back then, too. Generally, today you'll see players swinging 33, 34-inch bats. Those are probably closer to 35, 36 inches, and probably just as heavy.
If not heavier. I remember Babe Ruth used to swing a 44-ounce bat, which was a plus 12-ounce from what he used to swing.
Today, one of the only players I know that still swings a plus bat is Alfonso Soriano.
Does he really?
He actually swings a 36, 36, sometimes a 36, 37.
And does he just like the mass behind it, or what?
I have absolutely no idea. I just know that he's been swinging it his whole career, and if you actually take a closer look at it on TV, it's impressive. It's very large.
Well, the runner is going from first. Defensive indifference is going to give him the bag. So now San Francisco with a big scoring opportunity. Still 2 hands as this one's grounded to the left side. Goes off of the glove of, Toro. But he does get it to first, and it's well thrown away. 2 runs are going to score. So San Francisco's up early.
Some sloppy defense.
Must be the gloves.
Must be the gloves. I can't imagine trying to pick a ball out of the dirt over at first base with just your hand, basically your bare hand.
Well, he's basically going into a crouch every time one hits the dirt, and he just tries to kind of hopefully get it. One thing I am noticing, as this one's grounded to second, the throw on to first, in time to retire the side, but, you know, a couple of the players have Nike cleats out there. Which, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's impossible to get the kind of cleats that they used to use back then.
No, I don't think they had Nikes back then in Under Armour cleats, if I had to be completely honest.
And I believe I see an Air Jordan pair. So a little bit of contemporary area in there. Looks like we have a new pitcher. I think Jumbo's coming on the pitch now. I don't think he was in the first inning.
I'm disappointed that these pants went out of style. The pantaloons. The baggy pantaloons.
I agree. Well, Steve Detweiler of the Pacifics and Zach Pace and Chris Scholl, you can shine a little bit more light on this. You're the clubhouse manager. You can talk about the kind of pants they wear.
Well, they are the only ones who consistently go pants up, which is becoming a rarer and rarer thing. For the most part, people like the pants down. It's just the new look of today. It's the pants down. Everyone's doing it. Personally, if I had the calves to pull it off, I would go pants up, but I don't.
Well, apparently the hitter has selected a strike zone. I still can't believe that. That's too hilarious. And it must make it difficult for the umpires. I mean, first off, they're in a bowler hat. And now they've got to deal with a selected strike zone as this one's driven very deep into center field. This one bounces on the softball field and hits the fence on 5 hops. He's rounding second. He's going to dig for third. The relay in is not going to be nearly in time as he slides in safely at third. The throw gets away, and it looks like he's going to hold there. That one was well struck. That's really the only well-struck ball we've seen all day. And I guess when you get that mass of the bat behind it and you hit the ball well, it's going places.
Plus, he had the advantage of landing that ball in the dirt out in center field. Nothing to stop it from rolling all the way to the wall.
And it looked to me like Warden was just caught completely off guard there. He's supposed to catch people as Warden, but this grounded to third, easily handled and just in time to the bag.
I'll be back, Vinny.
striker now is Kelly Brew.
So now Brew, he's in the 8 hole for Oakland as he swings and misses at this one.
Sir, how you doing? Good to see you. How about the Southern Communications game here?
Oh, yeah, well, it is. It's still a beautiful day, and
I know, it's
very interesting game going on. It's 3-0 in favor of San Francisco right now, with just one hand here in the top of the third. Bay Area is threatening for more. This one is flown out to center field, and Esquire won't be scoring.
Which brings up the catcher, Brad Frenchie.
Yeah.
So now Frenchie coming to the plate.
The Rangers, again, working with a very quick pace. That is not a strike, merely a non-fair ball.
And now we actually are going to be joined by Brian Sober, basically the man responsible for this game. Brian, how you doing today?
Hey, doing well. Yeah, it's fun to watch vintage baseball out here. Nice catch there by the pitcher coming in.
Yeah, and so explain to me a little bit. What is the league? How does it operate? How many teams are in it?
I don't have a lot of specifics. I mean, I'm involved with the Pacifics, obviously, and one of the minority owners, right, and that sort of thing. But we wanted to have these guys in because if the theme is baseball as it was played in years past, this is perfect. These are 1880s vintage players. If you were out here, and we hope you're coming out a little bit later, you'll see that they're in the in the vintage uniforms and having fun.
Yeah, I guess the Pacific slogan this year, baseball like it used to be. This is literally baseball like it used to be, and it looks like a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and if you look, I'm sure you've already described as an example the umpire dressed all in black with the bowler hat, and he stands to the side of the plate. He doesn't stand behind the catcher, and so it's a different game, but you can see the elements of baseball in every which way in the way that they play this game.
What's really surprising, Tabor Watson and myself, is the pace of the game. It goes so quickly.
Well, one of the things that you see here is that the pitcher grabs the ball and pitches. There's not a lot of rituals going on the mound there. He gets the ball. One of the interesting aspects of this is that the batter gets to call where they want the pitch to be pitched. So low, high, however they like to pitch a ball.
Yeah, very different from the contemporary idea of your strike zone is this, and the umpire is actually the one, if he wants to call it high that day, he can call it high. But it's
exactly. Yeah, this is a self-governed game in many ways, which is very interesting when you think about the history of baseball. Very much in the early days, a gentleman's sport. And you don't have a field umpire as an example. And so the players govern themselves.
Well, it definitely is a different take on it. Although we did see one similarity there, as Gentleman, speaking of Gentleman, swung and missed at the third pitch strike, but because it got away from the catcher, he was able to get down to first.
Yes, exactly. One of the rule changes made, over the years. But one of the other things you may have noted is the lack of equipment, including very, very small gloves. A lot of, in the early days, played actually barehanded. Remember where baseball started. It was very, very much a factory game. And, a lot of people that would come out of the factories and they would, go and play baseball.
Well, a spectator was just hitting the head, and she was just right off to the side. I believe the Pacific staff is going to take care of her immediately. Hopefully she's all right. We'll bring you updates for that as soon as we know more. That foul ball just kind of came straight down.
Yep. Hit the spectator right on top of the head. She looks like she's
Now in a striker,
okay.
Jesse Juice Marin.
Well, Juice smacks this one into right field. Tracking it down was Brew to make the catch and retire the out. That is one hand here in the bottom of the second. San Francisco is threatening to expand their lead. They are leading 3-0 in this 3-inning exhibition game.
They hit the ball very well. Each of the players swing a good bat. A couple of them hit some very long drives. The one triple was fun to watch.
Yeah, Tabor and I were talking about how heavy those bats are.
Oh, yes.
Equal to the length in ounces is the weight, or even more so. Just a massive bat. Okay. So we're about to go live on Marin.
Okay, good. Last name is Sobel, S-O-B-E-L.
Right, sorry. I thought that was
Now up as striker is Eric Jumbo Pettit. Now in as striker is Dan the Warden Kamiansky.
My name is Mariah Chinchilla, and I'm a senior at Dominican University. When I graduate, I want to be a web and media producer.
My name is Daniel Williams. I go to the University of Puget Sound, and I want to work in the baseball industry.
Zach Busson, Dominican University, and I want to be a garment manufacturer.
My name is Vela, Sam Vela. I'm a junior at Dominican University of California. When I graduate, I plan on trying out for professional soccer teams in Europe.
My name is Graham Hooper. I go to the San Francisco Flex Academy, and I want to be a baseball broadcaster.
Janet McCarroll. I go to Dominican University, and I am interested in pursuing media arts.
My name is Spencer Clark. I go to the University of Arizona, and I want to be a composer.
Nadia Green, Dominican University of California, and I'd like to go into PR and marketing.
Hi, my name is Randy Shapiro. I go to Tam High School, and I'd love to be an ESPN anchor when I'm older.
And welcome to Albert Park here on the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to you. American Independence Day. 337 years young is the country of the United States of America. You are joining this game in progress. This is an exhibition game here at Albert Park, taking place before the San Rafael Pacifics take on the Maui Nakao Ikaika. This is between the San Francisco Pacifics and then the Bay Area Classic Baseball team. It's a mixture, of a couple of teams from around the Bay Area, Oakland and San Francisco, another San Francisco team among them. Right now I'm joined by minority owner of the San Rafael Pacifics, Brian Sobel. Brian, how are you doing today?
Doing well, and happy 4th of July to everybody who's tuned into the game.
Well, you are joining this game. We're in the bottom of the second inning. It's a 3-inning exhibition here taking place before the Pacifics game. Already San Francisco is leading 8-0. And there are 0 hands in this inning. Hands are the equivalent of outs. This game is being played 1886 style. So a different set of rules, a different set of equipment for sure. Different umpires, as you will be able to see in just a moment. The umpire standing in a black suit with a bowler hat. Just a totally different take on the game that you are seeing right now. Not something you're going to see very often. So this is an exclusive on Marin TV. Now that's the final out, but San Francisco played at 5 in that inning. So Brian, I understand that you were responsible for putting this together. Why did you want to put a classic baseball game on before the Pacifics today?
Well, one of the things to remember is that baseball has a rich tradition, as America does. And so bringing out a vintage league with vintage teams to give the fans the experience of baseball in its earliest days is the reason for having this exhibition today. And as we've been watching before we went on the air, a completely different game, and yet you see so many of the roots of modern-day baseball in these players and in this league.
You really can. I mean, besides, there are a couple of key differences. First off, the glove is not much bigger than the player's hands in the field.
Exactly.
The pitcher, we were talking about this before we went on the air, he doesn't really take much time between the pitch. He just grabs the ball and throws it. It makes for a completely different paced game. The hitter gets to choose his own strike zone, which is just hilarious to me.
I like that a lot. It started as what they when you go back and read about the beginnings of baseball, what they called a gentleman's game. It was calling your own strikes in many cases, although in this case, when umpires came in, the batter selects, as you noted, where he wants the pitch. The umpire's duty was not to call balls and strikes, and it just makes for a different kind of game.
Well, the Pacific's motto this year is baseball like it used to be, and this is very much literally baseball like it used to be, and it's a great experience. You can see there are plenty of fans here lining the grandstands of Albert Park, and it's something that I'm personally am very happy to see this kind of support for this kind of thing.
The fans in Marin County, Sonoma County, San Francisco, and elsewhere that have been coming to the Pacific's games are enjoying baseball, as you say, the way it used to be. It's minor league baseball. It's fun, and what we're seeing in this exhibition is baseball as it was played in its earliest days, back when our country that we celebrate today was a much younger nation. But you can see that the elements of baseball are all through this exhibition.
And it's been an exciting exhibition thus far, although San Francisco definitely having their way with the Bay Area hodgepodge team.
Well, yes. They have a group of hitters that really can knock the ball about.
And as you see a strikeout there, that's the second hand in the inning.
Yes, it is. The nomenclature of baseball has also changed. And you'll notice that when the pitcher pitches, they may come with all kinds of different deliveries. Right now you can see he's using a sidearm delivery. Some go over the top. Some are full submariners. A whole variety of pitching styles. And you also notice that they work very quickly. There's no ritualistic things going on the mound. They pick up the ball and throw.
As the San Francisco pitcher Ranger there had a very easy 1-2-3 inning for himself. That's the first time we've seen that all day, in fact.
Yes, absolutely. Mostly there's been batters getting up there and knocking the ball about, as they say.
And an interesting thing to note is that the bats are very, very heavy.
Yes. That's right. Over the years, bats, all equipment has become very customized to the player. When baseball started, they got a piece of wood, fashioned it into sort of a bat, and it's cylindrical and it has some of the same elements, but it's long and more like a toothpick than it is what you see today, where you might have a bat that is very thin at the base and then balloons up, which is why in Major League Baseball or all baseball you get a lot of bats breaking. You will never see one of these bats breaking. It just is not constructed that way.
Pretty much just a very thick piece of wood.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
You talk about the weight on these things. In professional baseball today, you hear the terminology drop 3 or drop 2, corresponding to the fact that a bat will be about 34 inches with 31-ounce weight.
Right.
These bats, I was talking to Tabor Watson, who's the clubhouse manager and also be joining us later on this broadcast. He was saying that he picked up one of the bats that was about 36 inches long and must have weighed at least 40 ounces.
Oh, yeah. You think about it, probably turned in the early days on a lathe in a wood shop. And, again, different game. These were club teams that came from factories and farms, town teams, things like that, and with no expectation of making any money playing the game until much later.
And that actually started with the serious money being made with Babe Ruth after he was traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees.
Well, Babe Ruth in his day, of course, made a phenomenal amount of money. And at the height of his fame, $80,000 a year contract. When you put it in perspective, at the time of professional baseball's start in America, and when money was really flowing into the game, players made about 4 times that of an average factory worker. People could really relate to them.
Yeah.
Then over the years, you saw the salaries balloon, and Babe Ruth really was making, in contemporary terms, 100 times more than that what an average factory worker was making, much more than that. And he was the first one to make what was considered to be unbelievable money for its day.
The first player to make more money than the president.
Absolutely, and there was a great quip by the president at that time about the fact that Babe Ruth was making more money than he was. But Babe Ruth was also filling the stands. He was the first player to really revolutionize the long ball. Up to that point, baseball was a different game. It was a game of singles and doubles.
As we've seen today, actually.
Absolutely.
You can definitely see the roots of that in here. And even when Babe Ruth was playing, there were a lot of other players like Ty Cobb, who Ty Cobb famously once said, hitting home runs is easy. I can do it. I bet you I'll hit 3 home runs in the next game. He hit 3 home runs in the next game.
Yep.
But you're right, absolutely. Babe Ruth definitely did change the way the game was played. And actually, I believe, if memory serves correctly, he had something to do with the change in the bats that allowed him to hit it a little bit further.
Well, he was one of the first players, and as you know, he could have been anything he wanted to be. He was a tremendous pitcher to start with the Boston Red Sox. But he also had this great talent to hit. But more than that, for baseball's future, he was a showman. And, everything from... pointing in the famous pointing incident of the 1932 World Series to a lot of other things where he declared he'd hit a home run, and he did.
Yeah.
He understood that baseball was more about the show. It was an entertainment vehicle than the game in some respects, and he's the guy that really made all of that happen. But for the vintage baseball that we're watching, this was a different type of thing before the era of Babe Ruth and the livelier ball, by the way, which had something to do with that.
Yes, they are actually using the dead ball here.
Right. When in the dead ball era, you couldn't hit the ball the way that the Ruths of his time and later the Gehrigs and other players could hit the ball. They were using what they called a dead ball. Didn't go very far, so you saw all singles and doubles and that sort of thing.
And it's a much more strategic type of game. The game that you will sometimes see from NL teams in the modern day play, about the Giants, for example, who don't have a lot of power in their lineup.
Yes, well, the Giants are a whole other story at the moment. They're really struggling, but they one could joke and say it's kind of looking like the dead ball era at the moment for our San Francisco Giants.
Well, they were just no hit the other day by Homer Bailey, which
yes,
painful for fans to watch, but it does happen.
It does, and they've struggled through injuries and that sort of thing. They'll come back, but the beauty of vintage baseball and frankly minor league baseball, the Santa Fe Pacifics, a team we're so proud of and doing so well, is that you have players who are playing for the love of the game, and they come out every game, give their all, and this is the result. And that was a nice hit to right field, but very reminiscent of the early days of baseball. He looked to right field, kind of picked out his pitch and hit it there. That was the early days of baseball.
I did like that you brought it back to the Pacifics. I did want to ask you put together a fairly decent team. I mean, credit as much as it goes to Mike Shapiro, but the Pacifics have just been flat out fantastic this year. 23-6 is a fairly decent record.
Well, and undefeated at home, and just doing very well. And believe me, credit does go to Mike Shapiro. Mike Shapiro is a baseball guy from way back, and very good for baseball and very good for minor league baseball. Great applause for this vintage team.
We can definitely hear the fans going at it. They really enjoyed this game. It was a 3-inning game. Not even close was the final score. It was 10-0 in favor of San Francisco. But it was an interesting game to watch. It gave me personally, and I can definitely relate to the viewers, how it would give a lot of perspective of where my favorite game in the world came from.
Yep. See the cheering, very, very much back to the early days of baseball, and we will have them back. There's no doubt about that. And I don't know whether the camera can pick up our friend Drake here with the American flag draped over his back. Vintage baseball and America go together.
Well, Drake just did finish being the Grand Marshal in the Larkspur 4th of July parade.
A very, very well-known duck.
Yep. Well, he has a bobblehead now.
He has yes, absolutely.
How many ducks can honestly say I have a bobblehead?
I don't think there's one duck in America that has a bobblehead, but it's cute here. We're going to get a nice vintage photo, and Drake's right in the middle of that, of course.
Oh, he's always in the middle of everything.
Yes,
Drake.
yes.
If you are just joining us, the Santa Fe and Maui game will be starting momentarily. We just finished an exhibition game, vintage style, 1886 was the rule set that we were playing by, and it was a very exciting one and very entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. Glad to have him here. As I say, we'll have him back.
All right, well, we will be right back on Marin Television. The Santa Fe game will be coming up in just a few moments. Stay tuned.